the CyberHub bunker and studio. You're tuning in to the CyberHub podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Well, good morning, everyone. We're having a little bit of a challenge today with our audio, so I hope everyone can hear me loud, clear, ready to go. Welcome September 1st. Happy the month of September. Happy September, everyone. Wednesday, September 1st, 2021. Today, for me, very special day. My eldest is 16 today. So happy birthday to Jasmine. Wish her all the health and wealth and prosperity and success and fulfillment that is humanly possible in the world for this young woman who is now the next generation of leaders for our great nation. So very special day for me today. I still remember her birth like it was yesterday. So without further ado, we'll get right into our practitioner brief today. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot going on in the world of cyber. But before we do that, some shout outs. Good morning to Anna Lynn. Good morning, David. Good morning to Aaron. And glad you're able to join us live. Good afternoon to Amanai. And whatever you're holding in that picture, that's the mug we're about to raise. Good morning to David. Good morning to Marcia. And thank you, Marcia. Yes and amen. And the awesome Christoph Malone. Good morning, good sir. I think Christoph, by the way, folks, this Friday, I will not be doing a live. I think Christoph's taking my live spot this Friday. So go check out what he's got going on. I will be teaching over at the University of North Georgia this Friday. So you can do that as well. A shout out to our sponsors, KnowBe4 and Ativo Networks. We're always grateful for their support. Go and check them out as well. And without further ado, good morning to you as well, Keith, and happy Wednesday. My ceremonial cup of coffee. So my double espresso. This is an extra bold Ely roast, EILLY. So you want to definitely check it out. You can get them at Williams-Sonoma, which was like fascinating for me because all of a sudden Williams-Sonoma is now an espresso shop. Like they barely got any regular coffee anymore. They don't have the K Keurig cups and all that crap. They've got just espresso capsules, at least the Williams-Sonoma by my place. So cheers, everyone. Coffee cup cheers. Happy Wednesday, and let us have a successful September. Yes. Bee juice. And Christoph's live is at 4 p.m. Eastern on Friday. You should go and definitely check it out. Marcia, yes, coffee. Let's get right into what's going on today because there's so much. All right. We talked about OpenSSL yesterday. We said a ton of companies out there issuing directives, investigating how the OpenSSL vulnerability affects them. QNAP, which is probably at the top of the list when it comes to industrial control systems, when it comes to critical infrastructure. So they're now investigating the two recently patches to see the impact on their organization. According to the folks over there, the CVEs, which are tracked as 2021-3711 and CVE 2021-3712, both was a CVSS score of 7.5 and 4.4. Allow for various different abuses, including an SM2 decryption function and a buffer overrun issue when processing ASN.1 strings. If you're in industrial control systems, if you're using any of these devices, there's some mitigation. So QNAP still doesn't have a patch. They're still examining this stuff. You can see that a ton of products by NetApp have already been confirmed to be vulnerable to these flaws, including the clustered data on tap, the clustered data on tap antivirus connector, the E-Series Centricity OS controller software, the NetApp Manageability SDK, the Centricity SMIS provider, SolidFire. And again, this is where there's a few things that need to be done. One, go talk to IT and infrastructure, identify if these devices, if you don't have this inventory, identify if this inventory does exist. If it does, start putting in mitigation if possible. I would do increased detection over there. I would close any unnecessary ports if you can. If you can take it offline until a patch is available, that would be ideal, but that's not always possible. OpenSSL is still working on communicating the rest of this stuff. But again, the software supply chain is significant. And it takes me to our next story because I've got a theme today. We'll see if you guys can guess it. Cybercriminals are selling tools to hide malware in AMD and NVIDIA GPUs, essentially targeting the supply chain at the onset of the graphics processing unit of any compromised system. A proof of concept was sold earlier this month on a criminal forum, potentially marking cyber criminals to a new sophistication level of their attacks. In a short post on the forum, someone offered to sell a proof of concept for a technique that says keeps malicious code safe from security solutions scanning the system RAM. The seller provided only an overview of their method, saying it uses the GPU memory buffer to store the malicious code and execute it from there. According to the advertiser, the project works only on Windows systems that support versions 2.0 and above of the OpenSSL framework for executing code on various processors. The post also mentions that the author tested the code on graphic cards from Intel, Radeon, GeForce, and a few others. The announcement appeared on August 8th. 2 weeks later, and on August 25th, the seller replied that he had sold the POC without disclosing the terms of the deal. Another member of the forum indicated that the GPU-based malware has been done before, pointing to Jellyfish, a 6-year POC for a Linux-based GPU rootkit. So there is some academic research around this, but this is significant because this is essentially our supply chain. And there's very little any of us can do to really take advantage of it, but that's where our EDR providers, our XDR providers, become even a greater partner to our security program. And you guys don't hear me say this often, but this is where we do need teamwork. This is why I don't look at companies that support my security program as vendors, but rather as security partners, because it's how do we take these TTPs and these IOCs, this proof of concept that we've got here, and how do we ensure that the scanning that we enact actually identifies these types of vulnerabilities. It's significant. We're going to see more. Mark my words, 3-4 months from now, I'll be doing one of these, and there'll be this type of vulnerability out there. And this type of vulnerability is significant because it's root cause. It's SolarWinds type of vulnerability, which has long-term downstream impact that sometimes by the time you get upstream, it's crazy. We'll move to another one. Our third story today, LockBit gang is back at it, leaking Bangkok Airways data. Bangkok Airways, which is the major airline in Thailand, confirmed that it was a victim of a cyber attack this month that compromised personal data of passenger. This came after the LockBit ransomware gang has posted a message on their leak site claiming the breach and threatening to publish stolen data if the ransom was not paid. They're asking for a $50 million payment to stop the leak of 6 terabytes of stolen data. Here's the thing about LockBit, folks. Whenever you see that name, understand insider threat. They're going after, if you guys have seen SWAT with Samuel Jackson and a bunch of others, it's essentially kind of the reverse aspect. I'll pay you $1 million to get me access to your company. And they're going on the formula of there's a disgruntled employee, he'll sell us the data, he'll make a little bit of money, we'll go in there, we'll do the ransomware attack, we'll get paid, pay him, bada bing, bada boom. That's how LockBit works. This isn't just the technicality aspect of it, it's also they're really going after the human approach side of it. It's very, very interesting. The airline discovered the attack on August 23rd. They started taking steps to contain the incident, and an investigation was started at that point. While the attack did not impact Bangkok Airways' operational and aeronautical security systems, the airline said the hackers were able to access personal data belonging to passengers, including physical addresses, phone numbers, gender, full names, passport information, historical travel data, partial credit card info, and special meal details. So now threat criminals know if you order the vegan or kosher meal on Bangkok Airways and what kind of curry you really do enjoy. Thanks for joining us, Jeff. Better late than never. The American Petroleum Institute published a third edition of its Pipeline Cybersecurity Standard, which focuses on managing cyber risks associated with industrial automation and control environments. The third edition of Standard 1164, Pipeline Control Systems Cybersecurity, has been in the works since 2017. It's based on input from over 70 organizations. The standard is based on NIST Cybersecurity Framework and the North American Electric Reliability Corporation Critical Infrastructure Protection, NARC CIP, folks. According to the API, which is the largest trade association for the oil and natural gas industry, the edition covers all control systems rather than just SCADA systems, as the previous edition did. The new standard describes requirements for hardening pipeline assets against ransomware and other threats, and includes recommendations for protections at critical connection points in the supply chain, like terminals, pipelines, and refineries. The new edition, which can be purchased for a low price of $200, can be paired with any other standard, such as Standard 780 as well. Take a look at this. There's a bunch of directives around pipeline after Colonial. You got to start clearing through that noise to identify, if you're in that business, what's really applicable to you and what's not. Not all pipelines are created equal. And finally, CISA and the FBI are warning of ransomware gangs' tendency of launching attacks over the holidays and weekends. For those who don't know, this Friday and Monday, it's Labor Day. Many people are off on Friday, bridging it off to Monday. But this year, there's a catch. Tell you why, because yours truly is not only off on Monday, I'm also off on Tuesday. And you would go, why, James? Why are you off on Tuesday? I'd be like, it's Rosh Hashanah, Jewish New Year. We have apples and honey. We eat sweet stuff. It's magnificent. And so, for a good part of the world, this is a 5-day weekend. Not a good part, but our friends over in Israel, a lot of our Jewish American citizens, or any Jew over in the US, it's Labor Day weekend, so we're off Monday. But a lot of people are taking Tuesday, Wednesday off. I'll be back on Wednesday, by the way. But I won't be here. I won't be here Monday, Tuesday. It's a holiday, so enjoy it. I was gonna break this news to you tomorrow, but when I saw this story, I'm like, well, let's talk about it now. So historically, this has been the key. SolarWinds happened a few weeks before Christmas. We saw that the big ransomware attacks that took place a few months ago was over the 4th of July weekend. Now it's Labor Day. You're gonna see the same stuff happen again, folks. What we're going to be looking at is increased attacks over the weekend. If something does happen, I may come on. If something big happens, I don't think so. I think people are now prepared for it. CISA and the FBI understand it. There's clear monitoring from good MSSPs and good SOC managers of increased attacks over this time period. No one wants to spend their holiday weekend dealing with an incident. We all know this. Simply because there's fewer IT networks, etc. But here's the thing, folks, automation. Get some automation in your life. And what I mean by that is, just because you have fewer people doesn't mean that you can't identify threats or attacks. There's some really good machine learning systems out there now. There's some narrow AI solutions. There's not a full AI solution that I've seen yet. There's some narrow AI, which is kind of a little mix of machine learning with a little bit of artificial intelligence, but not much. Get those going in your system, folks. Tom says this is COVID times, no days off, work, work, work. Tom, I love you, brother, but work-life balance, buddy. Work-life balance. You got to take some time away. You got to step away from it all. You've got to clear your head. Burnout is real, folks. And Michael, from my hometown of Atlanta, Georgia, don't worry about being late. Welcome to the show, buddy. Thanks for being here. So if you take a look, Darkside hit Colonial on Saturday, May 7th. JBS Foods was on Memorial Weekend, and the Revel hit Kaseya on July 4th. All of those are very, very big attacks that happen on either weekends or holiday weekends like the one coming up. So make sure you've got your contingencies in place, and don't start writing stuff off just because you're ready to sign off for the weekend. Investigate it all. Sometimes investigating and quarantining something might save you a lot of headaches down the road. Folks, that's it for us here today on the show. I'll be back tomorrow with a lot more stuff here on the Practitioner Brief. Make sure to subscribe to the CyberHub podcast if you haven't done so. Now go check out our CISO Talk podcast. Over 125 interviews with some of the top CISOs in our industry, some of the leaders, some great insight into how CISOs have worked their way into the roles, and so much more. Go and check that out as well. Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern, The Other Side of Cyber on Clubhouse. Tomorrow evening, we'll have digital debate with Eddie and myself, so make sure you do that as well. And until then, have a great rest of your day. Happy Wednesday. Happy September. Welcome it with all. Year's almost over, folks. Before you know it, it's Halloween. Before you know it, it's Thanksgiving. It's Christmas, New Year's, and 2022 is just around the corner. That's how fast time has gone. Until tomorrow. See you then, and stay cyber safe. Cheers.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.